Welcome back. This is Miss Faye, and this is my world. All right, today's title is A 78-year-old Man Demands a Baby Before Marriage, and she's 58. Okay, let's dive into this letter and see what she says. Here we go. I am 58 years old, divorced for about 18 years, and have two grown-up children from my previous marriage. My eldest is 31, soon to be married this year, and my second child is 29 this year. I'm in a relationship with a loving and caring man who is 78 years old this year. We met last year, September, and we are very much in love with each other. He is widowed twice, has 4 biological children, and some grandchildren. He lost his second wife almost 2 years ago. We are both well-to-do professionals, by God's grace. Okay, all right, before I go any further, he almost 80. And you almost 60. Okay, I know that people can live a long time. You know, you can live a long time. But let's see what else. He has grown kids, and you have grown kids. All right. We have talked about marriage a few times now, and he says his family may not be ready yet for him remarrying. And I told him I am not in a hurry. We can wait for the right time. Okay, who brought up marriage? You or him? I would suggest that you probably did, because women, when we get into a relationship, we think the natural course of a relationship is marriage. That's in your mind. That's not it. You can be in a loving relationship from here on out without marriage. Yeah, you know, why is marriage the end game? All right, but let's see what you did here. The issue now is that the last time we spoke about marriage, he repeated something he had requested of me previously, only this time more seriously, which took me aback. He said, if we are to get married, he would like to have a child with me. I told him that we may be too advanced in age to be thinking of that. I would have said, hell no, you crazy? I would have been so polite. Okay. All right. And said that I would rather like to spend my time in the marriage looking after him than looking after a baby. Yeah, because if you have a baby, that is your life from now on. You don't have no time for him. And you're going to be in your 60s too? Come on. But he said I shouldn't worry about that. He wanted a baby by me. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something, ladies, right here. A man will suggest a lot of crazy things to you. But it's really up to you to accept it and to do it. All right? And they can be pretty persuasive, especially if, you know, your self-confidence is a little shaky. You know, you really want him, you get a little shaky. And that's how he can persuade you to do these ridiculous things, you know, which is to your detriment. I could see it if it was something that was going to benefit you. But how is this going to benefit you? You spend your last days and hours probably here on earth nurturing this last child. Okay? That'll be at least another 20 more years. You'll be in your 70s, close to 80s by the time the kid gets out of high school. And then college. No. And he'll be long past resting somewhere, and you'll still be struggling with this kid. Okay? You see, we are Africans, and having children is generally important to us. I can understand that. If you in the baby making stage or the baby making age, is it the African custom to have a baby until you drop? Is that it? That you, as long as you're standing, these men feel like you can make a baby. I looked into some medical information, and I found that after 58, it's going to be difficult for you to get pregnant naturally anyway. All right. So what's the alternative? You're either going to be able to plant the seed in you, but who knows if you can carry a baby 9 months at your age. I know some women have. I mean, you know what I mean? I had my last son when I was 40. And believe me, it was no picnic. Okay? It was no picnic. And it's still today. My son is close by. Okay, which means I still help him out. And he helps me out too. So, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta think about those things. And I would not have a baby because he wanted the baby. Now, when I got pregnant my last time, my ex-husband did convince me to have the baby, but I had the baby because I decided, it's not a bad idea. At 40. Okay, I didn't think it was a bad idea, so we went on and had the baby, and actually the baby is a real blessing to me. I'm glad I did it. Now, if I was 58 when he asked me, no, I don't think my body could have been going through it at 58, because I'm telling you, at 40, it was no joke. Okay, because I had him naturally. We was just on the verge of, when they give you whatever anesthetics that they give you now, that the women don't feel any pain or whatever. I went in the hospital telling them, I want the pain stuff, because I had my first 3 boys all natural. So I knew what the pain was like. But, and I'm talking about the delivery ladies. But I told the hospital when I went in, I'm scheduled to get all of the medication, whatever you got. So those women, because I was in a New York hospital, and sometimes in New York you don't get the treatment that you ought to get. So anyway, they let me stay out in the waiting room, I guess, of where the maternity was, until I was 10 centimeters. It was too late to give me any medication. And I had to have my last boy naturally. And I'm telling you, like I said, it was no laughing matter. Okay, so you got to think about those things. It's a trauma. The older that you get. All right. Now, for this man to be so in love with you, he loves you with all his heart and his soul. And he gonna make a stipulation like this, that he ain't gonna marry you unless you agree to have a baby? Are you serious? And then he might say, unless you have a boy. Come on, people. You would be starting your marriage out on the wrong foot if you let him make any kind of demands on you like this. Okay? Now, if you, in your heart and soul, you would love to have another baby, well, then that's you. Because I made that decision to have that baby. I didn't just do it for him. And guess what? When the marriage broke up, I ended up raising a baby. And I have made the decision to have this baby. Okay? I didn't do it just because, he planted the seed in my mind, but I made the final decision. Now, it's the same thing with you. You can make the final decision, but make sure it's your decision. Okay? Because you're the third wife. Do you know what the other women put up with? Being with him just because they died. Maybe they died just to get away from him. You got to look at a lot of things. Okay? All right. let's see here. You say that you Africans and the children are very important. I understand that. But I just can't help wondering why he is so serious about us having a baby at this advanced age and stage in our lives. Now, here is another scenario. Maybe he just told you that to put you off from getting married. You decide you're not going to have no baby at 58, and then he'll say, well, we're not going to get married. You see, that's his way out. Maybe he doesn't intend to marry because at first he told you that his family might not be ready to bring in a new woman into the family. Okay. So now he's saying that you got to have a baby. You see, he may be using that, the baby thing, knowing that you don't want to go through having no baby. That baby thing to discourage you from getting married. So in your mind, you're going to think, well, he's not going to marry me because I won't have this baby. You understand? You know, that could be why he did that. All right. How could you explain this? I hope that I just did. And I hope that you understand it. What do you think could be his actual reasons for repeatedly asking me to grant his request? Because he know you won't. Either that or he just flat out crazy, thinking that he can pressure you into having a baby. Is one or the other. Either he don't want to marry, he just don't want to get married again. Okay, it's not just you. He just don't want to get married again. So he's going to tell you about the baby thing, knowing that, you know, your kids are grown. You don't want to have no kids. All right, so you'll say no. That'll give him a way out to put this marriage thing on the back burner. Now, he'll probably get married when he can't walk or talk no more. Then he'll be ready to get married because then he'll need a nurse. Okay? So now, here we go. The other reason that he could be saying that, because even in your culture, I'm sure those women not having babies on into their 60s and 70s and 80s and what? What? No. Africa, no. You don't want to have a baby now. Your kids are grown. You've already gone through the diapers and the preschool and the school and the teenage stage, which is a horror. And then the adult. No, you don't want to do that again. Okay? So you got my advice and you got my reasons why he's probably doing that. I don't think the dude wanted to get married, period. This is a way just to put you off. Okay? Either that or he's just flat out crazy. I hope you understand the message today, and I really hope that it helps someone. Now, those of you who may have a question that you'd like for me to answer, my email address is in the description. And if you're looking for today's affirmation, the link is also in the description. I want to thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for your comments and your letters. And a very special thank you to those that leave a donation. I really appreciate all of you. I wish you all the very best. And I really hope to see you next time.